What's the best way to encourage more economic growth? I'm Dan Mitchell with the Cato Institute, and this Center for Freedom and Prosperity video will provide a brief overview of the factors that lead to better economic performance. We're talking about this topic in part because faster growth is always a good idea, especially if we want to create more opportunity for people at the bottom of the economic ladder. But we're also discussing this issue because there are times when the economy definitely needs a boost, and we want to make sure people know there is an alternative to the discredited notion that bigger government is a recipe for growth. We explained why Keynesianism is the wrong approach in a previous video. Today, we're going to review the policies that actually help an economy grow faster. This topic is a bit of a challenge because there are many factors that impact economic performance. You can't look at just one policy, like taxes for instance, and automatically know whether an economy will be healthy. That would be like judging a car solely on the basis of its transmission, or the health of a person after looking at just his circulatory system. At the risk of oversimplifying, some policies seem to be indispensable building blocks for a strong economy. Property rights, the rule of law, and sound money are necessary core conditions for prosperity. Other policies, such as taxation, size of government, labor laws, regulatory burden, and trade policy, influence the growth rate, though it is very difficult for a nation to enjoy sustained strong growth if it does not have those necessary core factors, much as it is difficult to have a solid building on a weak foundation. Every year, Canada's Fraser Institute publishes Economic Freedom of the World, which ranks nations according to policies that generate growth. They look at 5 major variables based on 42 specific data points to determine the degree to which governments have sensible policies. Not surprisingly, sound money, rule of law, and property rights account for 40% of every nation's grade. The good news is that the United States ranks 8th in the world, tied with Australia and trailing only nations such as Hong Kong, Singapore, Switzerland, and Chile. The bad news is that we rank 2nd in 2000, and our aggregate score has dropped from 8.55 to 8.04. And the worst news is that these rankings only include data through 2006, so it's a safe bet to say that America's score is going to fall even more when new editions are released. The Federal Reserve has been churning out money like crazy, for instance, so our high score on sound money presumably will drop. Bush has been a big spender, and Obama wants to continue the same failed policy, so the mediocre score that America gets in that category will probably fall as well. It's also safe to assume that the U.S. ranking for regulation will be downgraded, especially since there has been so much intervention in financial markets. Economic Freedom of the World provides a roadmap of the policies that America should follow to boost growth. The same basic message, by the way, can be found in similar publications and ratings such as the Index of Economic Freedom and the World Economic Forum's Competitiveness Index. Free markets and small government are the way to get dynamic and prosperous economies. Unfortunately, the U.S. detoured in the wrong direction during the Bush years, and Obama is promising even more big government interventionism. Let's conclude with 4 lessons. 1. Don't mess up the core conditions for growth. Sound money, rule of law, and property rights are keys to prosperity. Unfortunately, monetary policy in the U.S. is now a cause for concern thanks to easy money policy by the Federal Reserve. And the rule of law also has been eroded thanks to the non-transparent and corrupt nature of the various bailouts. America's not in any danger of becoming a banana republic, but I very much doubt that we will stay in the top 10 based on current policy. 2. Countries that don't do well in one category need to be especially vigilant about getting good grades in the other 4 categories. Luxembourg and Denmark are welfare states that get very bad grades on the size of government, for instance, yet they still rank comparatively high because they have very free market policies in other areas. This should be a cause of concern in America since we are moving in the wrong direction on several fronts. 3. There is no silver bullet that magically produces growth. If you've seen some of our other videos, you know that I'm a big fan of the flat tax. But tax reform, absent other good policies, is only a small step in the right direction. Ukraine has a flat tax of just 15%, for instance, but it still gets a low overall grade because of poor policy in almost every other area. 4. The final point, and this is the main lesson of this video, is that shrinking the burden of government is the way to get more growth. As explained in Economic Freedom of the World, and as you can see on the screen, nations with less government and free markets are richer and they enjoy more growth. If we want more prosperity for the American people, more job creation, higher disposable incomes, we need to follow that route. That should be an easy choice, but politicians often try to get support by instead going with redistribution and intervention. That's why we hope you will share this Center for Freedom and Prosperity video with all your friends and colleagues. We need your help to spread the message of liberty. Thanks for giving us a few minutes of your time.